Have you ever sat on the edge of a decision so long that fear got louder than your faith? In midlife, hesitation can become our default. But what if the very act of leaping first is what shrinks the fear? Today, we're talking about granting yourself permission to act before you are fully ready. You found the Midlife Revolution Unleashed, the space to embrace your wisdom, reignite your passions, and move boldly into what's next. I am Coach Wayne, the VIP coach.
And I'm Coach Stacy M. Lewis. We're here with insights, stories, and strategies to fuel your midlife journey. So take a breath, lean in. Your revolution starts now. Good day! In this episode of Midlife Revolution Unleashed, we'll explore how to overcome that self-doubt, stop waiting for perfect timing, and start granting yourself permission to move forward. Whether that's in your career, your business, your relationships, or your personal growth. Welcome to Midlife Revolution Unleashed. I am your co-host, Stacy M. Lewis. I'm a nonprofit executive, a midlife women's coach, and a lover of God and his people. And I'm joined by the one and only VIP transformative coach, Coach Wayne. Woo, woo. We need some sound effects. Woo.
Yes, sirree. Thank you, Stacy. I'm your man, the one and only, the VIP coach, Coach Wayne. I help men in midlife move through so that their second half can be their best half. Stacy, ready for quite a stimulation in terms of a conversation where we can pump some energy into our folks?
Absolutely. And really remind ourselves of the gift of our own permission, right? And our opportunities to overcome self-doubt and to move forward. So we're going to talk about redefining readiness, why confidence comes after the leap. What say you, Sir Wayne?
What leap, Stacy? I heard often as a kid about caution, and you may have heard it too. And the thing that we probably heard was look before you leap. And sometimes we take that, of course, there is warning for all of us to be cautious before we take action. But if you take that very literally, sometimes it's the undoing of you in terms of getting ahead. Would you agree, Stacy?
You're absolutely right. I think that's one of the concepts sometimes that really impacts our self-concept, right? Yes, you are to look before you leap, right? We're not really suggesting just taking high risks without no consideration. But how long will you look? Will you look to ascertain the immediate information that you need before you take the leap? Or will you look to gather the immediate information, gather the long-term information, look down next week's road, look back 2 weeks later or earlier, and then find yourself saying, I'm still in the same place?
Yeah. Stacy, I was taught by a wonderful gentleman who is very successful by all measures that success likes decision. And this
That's
decision
good.
to act is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Very often, we waste a lot of energy and time by deliberating and procrastination. How is that, you may ask? I'm happy to tell you. When we sit around and we're weighing the facts, as it were,
Mm-hmm.
we're gathering more information, we're going out and getting more, and we're comparing and we're continuing to do this. That's tiring. And that's a lot of time spent when, in fact, most of us have the information we need to just make a wise or informed decision.
I love that adage. And I will add that self doubt feeds on hesitation. right? So the longer we wait or hesitate or procrastinate, as you said, the more we doubt the action, the next step that we were planning to take. And so in that waiting, we not only develop that self doubt, but it also takes a lot of energy to wait and deliberate and procrastinate. All of that requires energy, and that's energy that we could be leaping with.
And here's a question that, as midlifers, we're often uh, encountering and dealing with. And it's this question that we ask ourselves: am I too late? Am
Mm.
I too late? Is it worth doing it because I'm at midlife? And that self doubt, when we look at our self concept as a midlifer, is one of the things that we got to get out of the way so that we can take a chance and take the leap.
Mhm. Mhm. I agree with you that am I too late? Have I missed my opportunity? Do I have what it takes? We start to really add all of these questions that only foster like a level of imposter syndrome, right? A level of feeling like, oh, maybe I'm not who I think I am, or maybe I'm not uh really ready to do this thing. And the reality is this is the time. This
Yeah.
is the time.
Yeah. And so I would leave folk with this one thing as an affirmation. Let us start saying, I am not the person of yesteryear. I am the person of the becoming. So
Mhm.
who you are now and who you're growing into is what you ought to use to determine your ability to make a difference, move forward, take the leap.
I agree. And the I'm not the person of yesteryear also can be coupled with, and that's a good thing, right? Because you've learned so much, you've grown so much, you've gleaned so much in during your yesteryear days, right?
Yeah.
That now you really are more ready than you ever were. Let's
Yeah.
take a little pause and say hello to Delane. It is always so good to see you. We're both doing well, and we pray you are too. Hey,
Hey,
Delane.
Delane, we are doing mighty fine.
You know, Wayne, one of the things we can talk about is the fact that action shrinks fear.
Yeah.
That when we leap, when we move toward the goal, toward the aspiration, it will begin to conquer, to shrink the fear.
Yeah. There's something about the law of momentum, Stacy. You build as you get moving. But if
Mhm.
you're not moving, you're actually there's really in truth, you're never totally just the status quo is never that you're dead stop. You're either growing or declining. And
Mhm.
so in terms of moving past that freeze posture part of fear, you
Mhm.
have to start getting some action, building momentum. And you'll find that as you build momentum, the familiarity takes you from that place of fear and discomfort into a more familiar place where you now can feel more comfortable.
I couldn't agree with you more. Courage and confidence have in common that they are attributes that we all have. We just have to exercise them. And it is in that courage, right, that we will continue to move forward, but it is taking that step that makes us even more courageous.
And so, this concept about aligning yourself with today's truth
Mhm.
versus yesterday's story. We all
Mhm.
have stories, right? We tell ourselves these stories. Most of the time, the story that we tell ourselves is outdated. We have outgrown it, and it's not speaking to our current truth. And so we're living in the past and not aligning with our today's truth.
Yes, yes, yes. This is the time to align with truth, today's truth, right? To be strong and courageous, as the word says, and to really think about um, where that one area that you've been hesitating in or not moving forward in, where that waiting has only increased your doubt. Oftentimes, Wayne, I'm sure this happens with you and clients, is that, you can see that the waiting, that the experience of the hesitation, the procrastination, the consternation, where all of that is culminating in more doubt,
Yeah,
in even less confidence,
yeah,
in slower momentum
yeah,
because of all of that inaction and its impact.
yeah. Sometimes, Stacy, you talked about action shrinking fear.
Mhm.
Sometimes it can be something as simple as purchasing the right outfit, and we have to spend some money. We are fearful of that money leaving us and we make the wrong purchase. And so what we do is we go shopping and we go over and over to the same place. We walk through the
Mhm.
aisle, we look at it, or we go somewhere else and we come back and there is this trepidation about spending for the fear that we're going to have buyer's remorse. And that's a simple example. But
Mhm.
it's real as far as when we take the action and we just make the purchase, either we are going to return it or not, but at least a decision has made. And so we can settle with the idea that we're moving forward on a thing.
Yes. Yes. Now you made me want to go shopping. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. This is a real prompt encouragement for you, our listener, to begin to review and to update your self-concept, how you see yourself, how you're thinking about yourself, and how as you envision yourself in new settings or taking those steps, how your self concept may be holding you back. What do you
Yeah.
say, Wayne?
And I mentioned a little bit earlier the idea of aligning with your today's truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus your past stories. This is where you take a full accountability and assessment of your strengths, where
Mm.
you are now, and not be afraid to talk about the opportunity of becoming even better, bigger, bolder, because you're in the act of becoming. For folk who, if you're listening in and you have just held back because you have not been able to, as we say, pull the trigger and make a bold
Mm-hmm.
decision because you're thinking in the past, I have failed at this or I wasn't good enough. Let us put that aside and look at where we are now, and better yet, where we want to launch to, and use that as a way of incentivizing yourself to take action.
Yes, yes, yes. That really is shining a new light on that self concept. I was listening this morning, I believe it was, to an intro or a preview of an interview with Lionel Richie. And, longtime musician, many accolades and awards and everything. And he talked about the impact of being shy his entire life, in particular as a child, but how that self concept, right? How that experience, while we didn't see that on the stage or hear
Mhm.
that in the records, but how that, yes, I said records, but
Mhm.
how that experience was basically a label for him. And sometime our outdated self concepts, right? I'm not very creative, or you mentioned I'm too old. Those self concepts can really become very confining. And that was what he demonstrated and talked a lot about, the confines of being shy and really having to work through um, relabeling, so to speak, his self, or changing out, removing his outdated labels for new labels.
Yeah, I forget where I heard it. Thank you, Stacy. That Lionel Richie, wow, he's still out there doing him, right? It's beautiful.
Yes.
Always reinventing. Actually, I've seen him on The Voice, and he looks
Hmm.
like Lionel Richie of
Right.
yesteryear, right? So to your point, it's important that we act in a way that keeps us fresh by our self concept not being held back with the idea of I can't go to college now because I'm too old for that.
Hmm.
It may be awkward to feel that you're in a classroom where you could be everybody's grand, but you just need to get past that and keep your mind on the prize and recognize that in the now you're able to be who and do whatever you will.
Yes, I agree. I think one way to really think about or to explore your self concept, kind of what you're really thinking about yourself or how you've labeled yourself, is to write a short letter to your younger self, acknowledging your growth. Oftentimes, we don't celebrate our successes. We don't acknowledge our own accomplishments. Um, and so sometime writing it down and, letting your younger self know that I'm not that shy girl anymore. I'm not someone with low self-esteem anymore, or I'm not hesitating to pursue my dreams anymore. This is how I'm moving forward now, to remind yourself of who you are now.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you can do that
Let's
also
say hello to
with
Dia. We want to say hello to Dia. I just
yeah.
want to make sure we say hello. We try to do a good job, Wayne, to
Yeah,
say
yeah. I'm
hello.
not looking on my thank you, Stace.
I got
I'm not looking on my LinkedIn, so I'm not sure who we have join us on LinkedIn. But hello to anyone and everyone that's out there tuning in this afternoon. We love that,
absolutely.
Stacey.
Absolutely.
One of the other things that I think we could share is
Hmm.
if when we talk about taking action, leaping, so we can get to the next side and get it done, is giving ourselves permission to be first.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's funny if I can share a quick personal story. A few years ago, one of my young ones had a graduation. I think it may have been Jared, and we were in Virginia, and so they set up this family thing that we were all gonna do rather than the usual dinner. We had the dinners, but something
Hmm.
exciting. So me be the leader of the clan, uh, they said, let's go I fly. You know what I fly is, Stacy?
Is that where you are in some kind of building and you basically end up be flying, kind of being blown up by air? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. It's this chamber with this simulated air so that it's like jumping out of a plane at what is it, 20,000 or 10,000? I forget.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
air,
Okay.
it's about 160 knots or whatever they miles per hour, whatever they measure it in, but it's a lot. It's air that when you step into the chamber, right, and it's
Hmm.
anti-gravity. So as you step in, you're ready to take off. And so they put you on and all the gear and you know the the visor. And so when we were being going through the demonstration, all the kids and everybody else, the blended family, were around, and I was like, yeah, I'm the captain. And then I'm looking at everybody else and I'm saying to myself, dang, couldn't
I
they just
lost
try
my
some?
mind.
I'm nervous just like everybody. Yeah, I don't want to show it. I gotta. So I'm like, all right, giving them the check. Let's go. So we jumped online, and I was like, I'll go first. But Jared, my son, he had already been there. So when he said that, I'll just step up and make it happen first, I was just too happy. So I was like number 3 on the list, but I performed and made it happen. And the point I'm making is I could have sat back for a while and made sure it was safe and watch other people go and just,
Mm.
kept letting people skip the line and all that. But I stepped up. And once I did it the first time, I wound up doing it more than everybody else. I kept going back and back. Couldn't stop me, man.
Yeah, so one is that's hilarious. Thank you for sharing that with the level of vulnerability. We greatly appreciate that. What I think is so interesting about reminding ourselves of giving ourselves permission to leap first, to go first, is that one of the things that this has happened to me, not only clients, but to me, one of the things that has held me back was seeing what everyone else is doing, right? Seeing the way people are launching their business, seeing the way women are talking about midlife, right? Seeing everything and hindering or holding back giving myself permission to move forward because I'm either too busy seeing, therefore, AKA comparing myself to the way, to the what, to the how someone else is doing something, um, as opposed to just doing it my way. They're never going to do it my way, right? Because we're all individuals. And so that giving myself permission to go first or to just go is something that I constantly practice. Stop looking at how others are doing whatever it is you want to do for permission. Look to you for permission.
Look to you. I love it. And so the question you would ask instead of what if I fail,
Mm-hmm.
say, what if I fly?
What if I fly?
Yeah.
What if I fly? I like that, Wayne. What if I
Mhm.
fly? So, for our listener, where are you? Where in your life are you waiting for permission that only you can give? It's happening to all of us. And, it happens more than we'd like to pay attention to. So, as you think about that next action that you want to take, that aspiration, that new job, that new business, whatever that aspiration or dream is, that promotion, right? Where in your life are you waiting for permission that only you can give?
Yeah. Yeah. Stop watching the crowd. Do you?
Go
Stacey, yeah.
it.
Another
Mhm.
pointer I think we can share is the idea of building a bias toward taking action. And for example, sometimes we have to just reframe, the entire process. By
Right.
taking consistent actions, we can rewire our identity. I'm a person who makes decision. I'm a person who is on the move. And so we can sort of reframe how we've seen ourselves by deliberating or being afraid to start something
Mhm.
or failing at something, and just start taking action and saying, hey, I'm the kind of guy who makes it happen.
Mhm. Mhm. And
Change.
I'm one who takes a step, right? I take steps. I'm not the step may be small, the step may, have had a little concern behind it, but I take a step. And it's in the direction of my dream, of my aspiration, of my next goal. And so that tiny action, when turned into tiny consistent action, really does have power. And so I love this build a bias toward action, because if we're really just focused on, okay, action, not, it doesn't have to be the home run, still baseball season. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
be the home run. it can be the swing. It can be stepping up to the plate. So let's tiny step, medium-sized step, big step, let's have that bias toward action.
And Stacey, you don't have to take fast action, taking that leap, as reckless behavior, right?
Right.
You can see
Right.
it as trust in motion.
That's good. Trust in motion. Yes, trusting yourself, your ability to make decisions, your ability to take action. Trust in motion.
Stacey,
Yeah, for some
in
of
the
us,
green,
go ahead.
in the green room, you were talking about the biblical reference, Peter. Want to share that
hmm
on the water?
Sure. I think the thing about Peter, right, is that we are all reading the scripture, and none of us were there clearly. But we always think about the fact that Peter, he took action, he took a step, and he exercised his faith, right? So he stepped out on the water, and that's where the courage happened. Right? I imagine, I don't know if you ever imagined this biblical story, but I imagine that was where the real courage was needed, was actually taking the step out, right? Once he got out there, if he was focused on Christ, he was doing all right. And then he looked around and he looked down and then he started to go down, but he took
Mhm.
the step. The steps are tied to our faith in who we are and what we've been given and who our creator has made us to be, and that our creator is still with us, moving forward with us, sending us in the right direction.
That is such a powerful metaphor, Stacey, um, because when you think about what happened with Peter as he stepped out on the water and then brought up Mr. Doubt. And with Mr.
Mm.
Doubt, started going down, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
How often do we know a thing, not believe a thing? We know a thing. Oh, it's a divine
Yeah.
calling. There's an
Yeah.
alignment. There's this resonance, the vibrations, the energy tells you this is it. But we're looking around, and perhaps other people who don't know that thing, like you, and have not been called to do the thing, may not have taken action. And what do? We small up ourselves,
Ooh.
right? And so
Mhm.
we don't step out there on faith, knowing that thing, and we sink.
Yes, yes, yes. We small up ourselves. I love it when you say that, because that is the truth. And we're talking about really building a bias toward action. And in the building, we know that it might not necessarily be your immediate nature. It may not be innate for you. That's why you build the bias toward action. And you have to remind yourself that each step I take is a declaration of trust in my future.
Stacey, what about before we go, just
Mhm.
closing up with some reflections and some highlights, as it were, recapping? I would say, remember that action shrinks fear. What else
Yes.
we got for them, Stacey?
Yes, indeed. I think that one is truly uh, worth repeating. Action shrinks fear. We also have that it's a good time to update your self concept, because updating self concept begins to clear the way for you to give yourself permission.
And like third one, we're going to just give you three to hold on to. Number three is give yourself permission. Get out of your own way.
Get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Wayne and I are here as coaches. We are encouraging you um, to make a note of what leap might be waiting for you right now. And Wayne, I think that you would agree with me as I say this. But if you are a brother out there and you're ready to stop circling around the idea about moving forward, I believe that Wayne would like to talk to you. He's there for you. Love to connect. What you say, Wayne?
Absolutely. Give your bro a ding ding, right? Just get up in the DM and let me know that you'd like to connect and we'll make it happen. Listen, no charge to just having that discovery call. 30 minutes and it could change your entire life.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I will echo that for my midlife sisters out there, it's your time to shine. And so all of those uh, mental roadblocks and all of those myths about it being too late or us possibly being too old, we want to conquer those little giants and squash them like ants. So if you are interested in a connecting conversation, you can connect with me on the socials that you are now streaming us through, as well as you're welcome to visit my website at thestacymlewis.com. Sir Wayne, any takeaways or play
Yeah,
work that
I
you'd
kind
like
of
to
think I want to do send a little homework, so to speak, assignments, some to do. We sort of touched on some of the takeaways earlier.
Sure.
And I would say to folks, do a self-check, a self-concept check. And
Mm,
that is to, I mean, you can just, who am I? And
mhm.
do that in a real way. Look in the mirror and ask that question. If I understand that if you do this long enough, you start feeling an answer coming from within, not without.
Mm.
And so do that self check.
Yeah, I like the self check, the self concept check. I will meet or match that self concept check, and I will add to it the leap first challenge, right? What's one action you can take within the next 24 hours to move in the direction that you want to go? Not
Right.
consternate, not procrastinate, but to move. That's what we're saying. It's your time. It is your time. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to leap.
Stacy, that's a wrap today.
We want to thank you for joining us at the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. It has been our joy, and we wish you the very best. I am cheering you on.
And I'll see you at the top.
Thanks for tuning in to Midlife Revolution Unleashed. We're grateful you're part of this journey.
If you love this episode, share it, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss another episode.
I'm Coach Stacy, and I'm cheering you on.
And I'm Coach Wayne, and I'll see you at the top.